kind of working my way through this tractor, resolving things that the previous owner didn't get to, I guess. Had a little diesel leak. I think I've got that taken care of. I had a radiator leak. I had to put a new radiator in it. The old radiator is a Ford FOMOCO, a Ford Motor Company radiator. That's an original radiator. So what I'm probably going to do is take that radiator and get it reconditioned and just save it. But I did have to put a replacement radiator in there because it was flinging diesel and antifreeze all over the place. A lot of the rubber hoses are swollen and need to be replaced. And so I'm kind of just, I'm trying. My buddy Marc's on his way with his excavator, and we're going to work on that new property today. And depending on how far we get, we may even start cutting the driveway in. But my plan was to use the tractor to pull around the trailer that we're going to throw all the firewood in. And I got to get this finished up. But I've never cared for a tractor as much as I've cared for this tractor. And so I'm going to take my time making sure that it is fixed and fixed in a way where I don't have to mess with it again. And then as soon as we get the shop finished up, I'm going to take this thing in the shop, clean it up well enough to where I can paint it back to the original Ford blue and white. So anyway, Marc should be here anytime we're going to start on that new property. I asked my buddy and my neighbor, Marc, if he would bring his excavator down and help me clean up the brush and the leftover trees from thinning the land on the new property. Because his excavator is significantly bigger than my excavator, and frankly, because he's a much better operator than I am, he is able to go through the leftover trees and brush and separate any good firewood and still take the leftover stumps and limbs and put them on the burn pile significantly faster than it would take me to just simply move the brush piles with a rental excavator. The Cat 308 excavator is about 20,000 pounds and nearly double the horsepower of the rental excavator. Marc and his wife Ola have become very good friends of ours over the last 6 years, and they bought their land at almost exactly the same time that we bought our land, and they are living a very similar life to us. They recently started a YouTube channel, and I strongly recommend that you check it out because they're doing a lot of very fun things, very similar to ours, but different at the same time. They've become great friends, and they're the kind of neighbors you would hope to have if you end up living in the mountains completely off-grid. Check them out. Mountain Maple Ranch. So Marc has taken the time to separate any good firewood out of the brush before he's bringing it over here to the pile. And so I'm going to end up with so much more firewood, which is a great thing. And he can still process it so much faster with that Cat 308 than I can with a little rental excavator. So even though it's taking him some time to go through it and separate it, I bet he's done with this in a couple hours. And it would have taken me every bit of a couple of days with the rental excavator. But I got to keep up with him cutting firewood. And I can see that's going to be a fun day. There is very little flat ground around us, and one of the things that Marc has done very, very well on his property is using the excavator. He's cut in trails and switchbacks, utilizing every square inch that he can, both for livestock, gardening, and their daily life. That's one of the main reasons why I asked Marc to come down and kind of give me some ideas on how I should lay out the new property. Marc has a lot of experience with utilizing hillside lots and hillside property, so I knew he was the guy to talk to about getting the proper grade on the new driveway onto the new property. So this is the good, bad, and ugly when it comes to clearing land with an excavator. If you're not careful, you can be a little bit prone to breaking a fitting or something here and there. Marc was lucky enough to catch it on something. Doesn't take a whole lot, but we're going to try and braze this up. By we, I mean Marc's going to try and braze this up real quick and see if we can't get it back online. Because this has happened before, so he's a little bit familiar with it. So, well, did it break on the braze, or did it break right? It usually never breaks on the braze. It usually breaks right next to it.
It was right in the same spot that the brazing had been.
Oh, okay.
You know, where because I think it was the same original crack, probably. You know, from when I cracked it coming down, and so.
Met Cedar's dad for the first time. He was out in his shop brazing bronze.
Yeah.
Irrigation screw lid.
Oh yeah.
The teeth broke off. He was filing and brazing them all back together. Marc would end up brazing that fitting back on the excavator, but he had some obligations, and so he would leave. But I hung around and watched the fires, and I started the process of cutting up the firewood and getting ready to haul all of this firewood that I now get to work through. As much as I love working with firewood, working with this quantity of firewood all at the same time is incredibly physically demanding. And it's starting to catch up with me a little bit, I think. Once I get the trees thinned on the lower portion of this property, in a perfect world, from this point on, every summer I will cut up just enough to replace the firewood that we burned the year before. We know we have a lifetime of firewood, but it does have to be processed so it can be drying every year. Rather than going through the quantity of firewood that I have here now, it might only be a cord or two a year that I have to deal with. Cedar and I consciously chose this lifestyle, and we understood that it would take a tremendous amount of work over the years. But there is a hope that the sense of urgency that kind of seems to revolve around my projects right now might simmer down just a touch. Once all of this land has been thinned and I've got the new driveway cut in, so I can then keep the trucks and the trailers and the plow truck over here. All right, so we decided to do a smaller pile of brush over here, closer to the piles, because taking it all the way, other pile over there was just a little bit too much. So because he's got a bigger excavator, he's got a Cat 308, which is about a 21,000 pound excavator. He's got a 36-inch bucket, and because it's a bigger excavator, he can do things with that excavator that I just couldn't do with a little rental excavator. He literally is able to crunch up everything that should be on the burn pile, and that's all the firewood that he picked out of that pile that was sitting there. So I'm going to end up with probably 3 or 4 times more firewood than I anticipated, which is wonderful. And if we don't have any more problems, hopefully tomorrow we'll have enough of this moved around that we can start doing some dirt work right here. Marc had to get back to his own projects. He's got a lot going on right now, and I'm grateful just to get him over here when I can get him over here. But hopefully next week or so I can get him back over here and finish up cleaning up the brush and then start on the driveway. In the meantime, I suppose I should talk about the raccoon and the chicken from last week's video and just quickly say that my intention is never to offend with anything that we put out there. Our intention is to be honest and truthful and genuine with our lifestyle, and that's part of our lifestyle. The unfortunate part about this process is, for my life to continue, things occasionally have to die. By the way, this is the same thing for you too, whether you like it or not. I do not like the idea of taking life unnecessarily, but I have no problem removing that raccoon's life in the name of protecting our chicken's life. I liked Guardians of the Galaxy just as much as the next guy, but I'm telling you, if Groot broke into my chicken coop and hurt one of my wife's chickens, I'd remove him from the planet just as fast as I did the raccoon that did that last week. Thank you again to Marc for coming over and helping me get my place cleaned up. Don't forget to check out their channel, Mountain Maple Ranch, here on YouTube as well. So this is what it looks like the morning after. Still a very hot fire, and all I really have to do is walk around the outside and throw anything that didn't burn up back onto the hot coals, and it doesn't take long before it bursts back into flames. From now on, I'm going to spend a lot of time picking up the leftovers, but I really shouldn't have to have any more big fires once the big stuff's gone. Okay, that is all that's left of this pile here. I'm going to go over to the other pile and check and see if I need to kind of stir the ashes and pile anything up. And then I'm going to start loading the firewood so Cedar and the kids can help me get it stacked tomorrow. At least that's my plan. It's still 81 degrees today, but the overnight temperatures are dropping big time, and that's an indication that we're just days away from our first frost. It's been warm enough where we haven't had to have a fire, so but when it comes time to start burning wood, I want to make sure we've got all the bases covered and we've got all the wood we're going to need for both the house and the shop.
dressed up and just drive around. Get both feet on.
Can you get that dog outside? He almost killed Jojo.
Get him outside?
Yeah, put him on the leash or something.
Why is Jojo in the house?
Jojo ran in, Ruger freaked out, started attacking her. I never slapped a dog so hard in my life. I feel really bad.
You saved your cat though, huh?
Yeah, I did. Well, because my hand stings up his poor back. I slapped him so
Well,
hard.
he's not used to being inside around people. He's a hunting dog.
And Ruby followed after him. Ruby started growling and biting, and so I flicked her, and she was off in the corner, and she was all sad. And Ruby just walks around, and he's still this happy dude. I'm like, what is going on?
Send him outside. He'll come over here by me if you guys want. Can you do it? You get him outside, or you need me to come do it?
I kind of want you to put him on the leash because I don't want him to kill him.
Just push him out the door. Tell him to come
Or
up
can
here.
I just put him on the leash?
Yeah.
You think I can do it?
Yeah. But if he knows I'm out here, he'll probably just come right over here. He hasn't been running off. He's been staying close by. So
Oh, we're taking it.
thank you for helping. I'm probably till like Monday or Tuesday. Do you guys want to ride down and get that 4-wheeler for me?
Yeah, I was going to ask too. That's why I brought this one.
Okay, go get it and come and tell me when you're home.
Okay.
Bye, I love you. Thank you.
Okay, bye, love you.
Thank you for handling the dog.
Yeah, I tried.
To the top, fill this bucket up. Get it, kid. I'm tearing through the lights till I hit the coast. Watch the sunrise with the Holy Ghost. Taking my time and letting go. I was a child in the Georgia hills. My favorite toy was a tin pail. Turn on the tap and don't let it spill. It was just enough to fill my bucket up to the top. Fill my bucket up. I'm gonna fill my bucket up to the top. Fill my bucket up. I'm gonna fill my bucket, don't let it drop. Fill my bucket up. I'm gonna fill my bucket up to the top. Fill this bucket up.
We have a friend's dog staying with us for a few days, and the hope was that our dog Ruby and our friend's dog, who happens to be named Ruger, might take an interest in each other, but it doesn't seem to be working out. In the meantime, our youngest daughter Callie has to protect our cats from Ruger. He doesn't like cats a whole lot, and Callie's doing a good job protecting her cats. This is my favorite Potawatomi plum tree that has some dead and dying branches in it that I've been meaning to get to for about 2 years now. While I have a fire burning, I want to get this job done. At the same time, the ranchers are pushing the cows down off the public land. Now that the cows have all been pushed back down to where they're kept over winter, we no longer have to worry about them up here. But I still have fencing that needs to be done before the cows are brought back up next year. This Potawatomi plum tree was one of the original trees on the property that I knew I had to save, and thank goodness I was able to save it. But it needed to be pruned up. I must say it sure has been fun to yell at a dog named Ruger. And he's a really, really good dog, but unfortunately I don't think Ruby and him have any interest in each other. So he'll go back to his owner in a couple of days. But in the meantime, I've got to get some firewood stacked up. As I've been thinning the new property, I have found somewhere around 30 more plum trees. And again, I'm going to try and do what I can to save these plum trees. The Potawatomi plum tree is thought to be a tree that goes back to the early settlers and the pioneers as they traveled across the country, where often they would have plums preserved and the seeds would end up getting thrown down wherever the pioneers would stop, which had a tendency to be near water. Now, many years later, after the pioneers have settled, we have these wild plum trees everywhere. They make the most amazing jellies and jams, and I think I'm going to plant them right across the front of the property to create a bit of a buffer between us and this road. They're a very durable tree, and they're one of the trees that can handle the abuse from the wildlife, because the second those plums hit the ground, the turkeys and the other wildlife will be right on top of them.
we've got some fresh new firewood, so we're gonna take the old stuff. We have some other stuff to cut. We're gonna organize this a little bit better. We're gonna keep the old stuff on the left, the new stuff on the right. And what else are we doing today?
And that's it.
I think that's it. But
We gotta. Okay, so once we get the right-hand side of the firewood moved out of the way, I'm gonna back my trailer in here and we're gonna load all the new firewood. But I wanna split it first. So anyway, rather than moving the wood twice, Cedar suggested, let's move the wood over to the back porch, get the porch set up, and then we don't have to worry about moving the wood again later. So
especially when it's snowing.
especially with snowing.